My dad used to grill kebabs for us all the time growing up, and while I've worked really hard on perfecting the recipe, it doesn't taste as good as his, but let's give it a try. So today we are doing a lamb and beef kebab, and it's got a lot of Middle Eastern spices, which I love. So I'm gonna start with my onion. So my family is Israeli. My parents are from Haifa. And growing up, I spent my summers and a lot of winters in Israel. And this is just one of the staple dishes that you would find at most Israeli and frankly, a lot of just Middle Eastern recipes. What I like is combining the lamb and the beef. I have 1 pound of lamb and 1 pound of lean grass-fed beef. And I just find that it's like an easier, milder flavor profile than just all lamb. Other than chopping the onions and the garlic, there really is not that much prep work to do, and I'm putting everything on the grill, so hopefully my kitchen stays nice and clean too. All right, now for all of the flavor. I'm gonna start with kosher salt and then a teaspoon of pepper. Here's my cumin, and I really like this spice, so I go in with a tablespoon, and then I have a teaspoon of coriander. I'm gonna do 1/4 of a teaspoon, like a heaping 1/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and then this is the final one that I'm adding. So this is sumac, and I love sumac. It actually grows wild here in Texas, which I just learned about. I'm adding 1 teaspoon. It's got like a kind of nice lemony flavor to it, not spicy, but it adds a lot. I really love it, and I use it in roasted vegetables and all sorts of things. I'm going in with 2 tablespoons of toasted pine nuts, and I have 2 tablespoons of fresh chopped parsley. I'm gonna add just about a tablespoon of light olive oil, just to make sure, because I'm putting this on the grill at a pretty high heat, that it doesn't dry out the meat. And then I'm just gonna mix everything together. I'm just gonna let it sit here for a second while I go fire up my grill. All right, you ready for some grill action? And I just make these into like really, like large meatball size shape and put it directly on the grill like that. All right, so here's my PSA cooking tip, grilling tip for the day. Don't mess with your meat too much on the grill. You wanna just let it sit for a bit before you turn it. And if you wiggle it and it's stuck, then that means that it's not ready to flip. Normally, my dad would serve this with tahini, which is just sesame paste and some lemon juice, a little garlic. And I'm gonna try and mix it up a little bit. It's not as traditional as most Middle Eastern kebabs, but I'm gonna serve it with a really nice, cool tzatziki sauce, which is that yummy Greek cucumber and yogurt sauce. I'm using, by the way, my favorite cheese grater on the planet. I like this cheese grater because it has a little plastic container that has a kind of a sticky bottom. So everything stays right in this bowl. I basically only use Persian cucumbers. They taste and have the texture the closest to the cucumbers that I ate growing up in Israel. But what I do is I sprinkle it with about a teaspoon of kosher salt. I squeeze it before I put it in my bowl. Can you see how much moisture comes out? I'm using 2% Greek yogurt. Fat-free yogurt just does not have the flavor, but full fat is also not necessary. I'm gonna add in 2 tablespoons of fresh chopped dill, 2 cloves of minced garlic. Now, I love raw garlic. I love it in everything from my salad dressings to everything that I cook. But if you are keeping this longer than a day, raw garlic gets more intense the longer that it sits in something. So if you are not as crazy about the potency of raw garlic, maybe start with 1 garlic clove and see how you feel. It really smells like my childhood in here. This makes me happy. My boys love this. I will admit, my younger one will probably dip it in ketchup, but my older boy will be perfectly happy. I mean, look at that char. It's gorgeous. It was so simple. It took 30 minutes to make. I serve it with some Israeli couscous. I cook that ahead of time so that that's one less step that I have to worry about for dinner. I love to sprinkle a little paprika, just like my childhood. And there you have it, a super and easy, delicious lamb kebab dinner in less than 30 minutes. If you want the recipe and lots more just like this, just go to dinnerreinvented.com.